Hello there. This is another episode, number 6. And we have a treat for today. Something that is mostly omitted by most players in Minecraft. We have this little beauty here. Few blocks standing above the ground. And what's inside, you may ask? But first we need to clear the area, because whatever is below the ground is actually quite large, and we need this space to be able to work freely. I am going to cut all those trees. We have to replant them later on, probably on stream, but that's how you do it. We need a camp, because lots of building blocks will be from this small excavation process. Probably 6 or 7 double chests should be fine, but let's place slightly more to make sure that we have enough for whatever we will find out there. These are just regular ones, and in this camp you need few things besides chests. Crafting table, of course, maybe a furnace, or maybe not. Definitely a bed and a campfire, because you have to warm somewhere when it's raining, and you don't want to work in rain. No one likes to work like that, but the day is bright and we may go back to work. So, where do we start? Maybe all this dirt. Let's slowly remove it. Right now we may just go frenzy with it and use Insta-mining super duper tool to just clean all we see right now. Of course these trees are in the way, so probably later I will just clean way more of those. We're gonna have trees, logs actually, for later builds, but right now we are just going through these first layers here. And of course all of this have to be stored, because we are not leaving rubble around. I am not going to leave this to despawn, because if you build in Minecraft you need all of these, and instead of building generators later for whatever reason, you just store these. Okay, you need bulk storages, but we're gonna transform this camp later in some kind of tower or something, and we will have easy access to those, especially if new players will join, what is still possible. They will have easy first building materials for whatever reason, but still, layer after layer, I am taking this dirt. Of course I have to cover this water on the right here, but there's a moment where you start seeing interesting things. These gravel blocks, and within those you may find few suspicious that have artifacts inside. Lots of different things that were belongings of people that lived here below the ground, or maybe above the ground, and it was just buried by the sand and time. These are trail ruins, ancient villages, mostly forgotten by players and left below the ground. For most people, these items that you can find here are just trash. But for me, these are remnants of an ancient past. And I am going to excavate the whole thing here, every single building, every part of it, and give it new shape. And maybe later I will bring some villagers to do some reenactment actually, because we don't know what kind of species were here. Maybe those were villagers, maybe those creatures that were later turned into zombies. But still, they were similar in size than regular villagers, so see, day after day I was taking layers, and if I found something like this, I was just digging through. Glass panes, pottery shards, everything later have to be placed somewhere when all visitors may come and see it and enjoy these small secrets. Actually, we could go even further and use our knowledge after excavating few of these sites to make a story, like a scientific paper about these civilizations here. But sometimes we are tired enough that we have to go and rest, and pray to gods, leave some offerings, and get back to work after a brief moment here. It's good that we have elytra, useful thing. If not, you have to get a horse. But see, these guys here were both farmers, creators, they were jewelers, they used different dyes, they used different materials, but they were using terracotta as their main resource here. So what kind of way they used, how they got these blocks? There's no mesabiomes around, but maybe if we will be patient enough, we will find some kind of proof that they were accessing these blocks from other ways. So layer after layer, as I said. But careful now, see, these blocks are very easy to break. Even doing this excavation here, I lost like 3 or 4 items. Oh, one more thing, here you saw this golden nugget. I mostly find those nuggets and sometimes emeralds on this, let's say, left side from the main road, from the main street, and maybe because they were in some kind of utility space, like place for merchants or whatever, for trade, so kind of currency could be available in here. But we will see in the future if it fits my assumptions here. But still, I am checking if there's something more on this layer, so I could use shovel and actually clear all it with few fast strokes, and it's clear, so I may remove it. Oh, and I see some kind of red structure in here, not that big, but still, and few items to the right side. I'm going to see what's there, and some things here in the tower, you see? They are quite visible, but if you cannot go with the shovel too quickly, because it is so easy with insta-mining to just break this. And see, this is a clay block. Clay block, if you smelt it in the furnace, you can turn it into terracotta. And that's how they made this, these buildings. They were probably digging out clay blocks from the river, and if there were not enough in the river, they could actually water the dirt blocks, turn them into mud, then dry the mud, and either mix it with reeds, with wheat, to turn it into these blocks that are used for construction, actually mud bricks and just dried mud, and of course, after drying in the furnace, into a clay. Of course, we have to fix our tools, but it takes so few moments, brief moments actually there, so that it's not a problem. It's good to have a decent farm for both mobs and XP. It's good enough for one player like me. And of course we have a few more things in the tower. I mostly find in towers like dyes and light items, like candles, mostly different types, and some glass panes in here. Sometimes you can of course get like trims or pottery shards, but mostly these, and a few brick items like regular bricks or clay blocks. Of course I am checking another layer if it's fine. I of course see that one on the right here, but I want to uncover the street part, because this is street level. It should go further down this direction, but of course it should end after 3 buildings. So if I will be able to find 3 buildings, like here I did, that means that I am on the end of the road, and I may actually focus on digging through the buildings. This one is entirely covered with dirt and gravel inside, so it was absolutely buried with it. But in these buildings, if you are careful enough and register all these items, you may figure out what they were doing. Even though buildings are sometimes very similar to one another, items you find there actually may give you a different story, may tell you a different story about what actually they were doing here. And another item here. What is this? Another building block. I told you, this is how they were doing it. So, I'm cleaning it slowly. The deeper, the lower you get in those structures, the more the blocks of these blocks you can find. Light source, a candle of course, and a glass pane. One thing about those glass panes. I am almost certain that they were not using regular windows, but because these glass panes doesn't fit anything and you find only few actually. So I expect that this is a Mojang version of something like glass beads that were used as a jewelry. So maybe this is it. But see, we already are seeing how this structure actually looked like. This is a main tower with two buildings on the sides. This left one have sometimes one or two small appendix buildings like cells, or I don't know, maybe for monks, maybe for prisoners, but absolutely smallest possible, with one crafting station. It's mostly every time a loom, so workers. And these towers here, I have two of these in this village, spawned two exactly the same, are cartographer towers. This one has a collapsed wall, small alcove below the stairs. Here is some kind of a butcher probably, or leather worker, but he was probably not living in here because there's no actual place for a bed or something. Not in that workspace. Imagine slaughtering animals and chopping them here, or working with skin, with leather actually, animal skin or leather, and trying to sleep in the same room. If you know something about reconstruction or history, craftsmanship, it's actually smelly job. And here another one, exactly the same like the previous one. Funny is that even rubble type here looks the same as the previous one. It's not every time the same, but this time it's very similar to one another. Upper part is slightly different, but it looks like this. Staircase from regular bricks, so guy who lived here was richer, but we have problems. I heard these guys again, and I saw few of these. Because we have no villagers yet, I may just clean the area, so let's brandish our spear and clear those guys as fast as possible. I will do a few passages, just quickly take a cleaning thing with those guys, and now I may just switch to sword and clean the rest of those. And I have to go to this other group because I cannot let them live. They are dangerous and you cannot reason with them. Use decent crossbow, not bows. This is rapid fire weapon, and you may bring down the rain on these guys. And if you are lucky and if you are position yourself well, you may hit with one arrow few targets at once. So you are effective, you are fast, you are precise. And if you are too close, like this time, you go into melee range and you are finishing the job. Victory. We are done. Area is safe and we may go back and do what we are here for. And focus on what's really important. Restoring all these buildings here to their former glory. I have to get some kind of creative liberty here with this one here on the left. But look, one thing here, see? They called it cyan terracotta. Is it cyan? No, it's grey. Maybe here. What is this? Is this brown terracotta? No, it's light grey. They messed colors, didn't they? Haven't they messed it all? They did. Even the blue one is different. Only reds and orange. Orange and red are, let's say, accurate. But this thing here, is it purple? No, it's blue terracotta. Maybe they were colorblind. Why they were doing such a thing? We don't know. That's a mystery. This here is probably some kind of statue. We're gonna use it later, I will show you. But right now, another time for fixing our tools. Mostly one village takes 1 or 2 sessions, 2 sessions actually, for our tools to get them back to the shape. At this first level, if you don't if you don't want to clear area absolutely on each side and make actually easy accessible slopes from all sides, and you have only excavation site like this one. But see, this here is a roof that fell down, was collapsed down here, so we may just dig it out and place it back here. Of course, I am going to replace few of these broken mud blocks into bricks, because they should be better. But you know, there was a catastrophe here. It collapsed down, so it was turned from nice looking bricks into rubble. And a few blocks probably got wet, because there was of course water source below. So that's why they returned after time into the shape of mud blocks that you see. But I am cleaning it slowly. You see, I am filling the gaps, adding more blocks, and only these orange blocks on the sides were mystery for me, because after replacing walls, you see these below, I've sometimes picking up on them, but I will remove them nonetheless, because they don't fit anything. They probably are part of these cell blocks. Right now this roof here, and these white terracotta blocks, there were not enough of those. These are, I was talking about those orange blocks here. But these white terracotta blocks, there's not enough of those blocks for entire band around, another layer around these walls here. So I think that they were just part of a few columns, and the rest was filled with less amount of blocks. The only thing I am actually adding to this are mud wall blocks, because they look both good, and I could explain that they were part of rubble, or were broken into the rubble after being under pressure of this heavy collapse that happened here. And this is another room here. It looks slightly like a tavern actually, or a bar of some kind, maybe just a place where they were eating. See, nice arches, something. There's a loom of course here, but it doesn't look like a place for it. And see this thing on this elevation to the left, it looks like a table that was toppled over here, and I will turn it the other way around and it should actually look like a table. Maybe I will add small tables on the right here, and it could be okay. And one more thing, this floor is lower, and you go up every few blocks to the left. So this table is on the elevated position, but the roof is going lower. And all of this was filled with gravel, of course, and dirt. So maybe it was higher. And if I change it and put a few of these blocks higher, it actually starting to look symmetrical, and I believe that was the general idea. So see, this is somewhat reconstruction, but I have to use a little bit of creative poetry actually in here. At this moment, of course, I have not any clue about these red blocks up here. So after digging through site B, because there's always also another site, I found the actual purpose and shape. So it will change after I finish this part, because after rebuilding the main structures and clearing all of this, you have to bring it back to life. This needs dirt because you need place for animals, you need place for greenery, for crops. These guys lived here, so they need to have basic things, even though we found no composters. Because composters are made out of wood, I don't think that they would actually survive being that long below the ground. Some days during the stream everything is too loud, but never mind that. But still, that's why I think that I could add a composter and maybe a stonecutter actually here. But stonecutter actually I forgot to take away, so you will see it in a moment. But right now, just placing dirt. Nothing that serious. We're almost done here, and there's way more work for me to do, because I still have to open those walls and make gentle slopes from 2 or 3 sides and slightly turn it into something that you could easily see and access the village from the surrounding area. Clear those roads, make some roads that would be paths actually to this structure here, and then bring maybe some people. I'm almost done. I'm covering the first layer of these buildings here, because it should be like that, I think. If you build buildings, you need foundations, and they are mostly below the ground, so let's try and act like it was this general idea in here. Only few blocks left, and we will be done. With, of course, that most interesting part, because there's thousands of blocks that await for me to dig them, are still something that I have to do. But I will do it. And this will be done on stream, so if you want Fizban2501 on Twitch. I also record VODs from these efforts, so you may see if you miss one stream or another to see what I was actually doing. So I think I'm almost done here. A few more blocks. So this is it. All this stuff, all these exhibits are from this site and site B. I will add also things from site C, because yes, there are multiple villages like this one I've been rebuilding right now. But I want them to be accessible way better than just a hole in the ground with few stairs or way to fly in. So I made this. This is our village after rebuilding. I even planted some trees, brought some villagers, and now I can show you how it is done, because I'm so proud of it. So excited to do more of these. Way more of these. Some of this origin, some made by myself, few original. And there will be a civilization with different nations. Perhaps. I haven't decorated them in any way because they have to be as original as possible. These guys are doing reenactment here. But it's also actually a good village. Only the stonecutter is here by accident, but you know how it goes. And this guy is working on it, so I have no heart to just take it from him. I found an intact platform like this on site B. You will see it next time. This building was turned into a dormitory, with this guy still working here, because I am not removing any stations from those spots I found them in the first place. And as well here, this pub. It is a pub, even though this guy definitely is doing something else in here, but it needs like 1 or 2 tables, and turning this one into a bar, and it should be fine. This table was upside down, but I just flipped it over and it's fine. I still don't know how to get up there. Even this ladder is just a accident actually left over from previous work. But it's fine actually. It works. And all of this is easily accessible from every corner of my base. My base, my temple, everything is part of the same area here. So I actually have to plant some trees in here. But what do you think about it? Do you think that these trail ruins are actually a good idea? From my perspective, Mojang had problems with selling this to you. It's not just pottery shards or the streams available. It's entire story of how these different civilizations were doing here and how they set their lives, because these are way more advanced buildings actually than these we have in regular villages. Because there is no terracotta in here, no mesa biomes, no, nothing like this. So stay with me a little bit longer, follow me, subscribe my channel, and you will get way more of this, and we will write a new story. Goodbye.